Thank you very much, Chair. And this has, of course, been a rushed process, which is disappointing as we're here discussing Bill 151 and talking about the real estate holdings and the real estate agenda of this government through Infrastructure Ontario. And when we're talking about public assets, we think of the Ontario Science Centre. We see the mess that Infrastructure Ontario and their contractors have made with their maintenance, that they have allowed a backlog to happen, arguably as part of that broader agenda. As we've seen, the government wants to do away with the Science Centre as we know it and love it, and have other plans. Plans, I will add, Speaker or Chair, that the province doesn't get to see. The contract, the lease, anything to do with real estate holdings, the government pulls behind that cabinet confidentiality, that cabinet curtain. We don't have accountability in the province of Ontario for anything. And I would challenge the government to point to, numbers, to point to a budget, to point to a contract that anyone in Ontario is allowed to see. Really now the only way we have access is through the Auditor General and what we can glean from their reports. And I say that because here we are with this bill, the second part in a series of pieces of legislation, as the Minister yesterday told us, to pull more holdings under the control of Infrastructure Ontario, to make their role permanent with that many more public gems, public treasures, public agencies. And I think Ontarians broadly have concerns. I think specifically we heard from a deputant who says this is not in the best interest of the average Ontarian, of the taxpayer. We don't have that accountability. This is another example. We're here for clause by clause to wade through, this fairly small bill with really big and significant ramifications. I asked questions of the Minister yesterday about why the need for more and more privatization, more and more opportunities to pull public entities behind that government and cabinet curtain, where ultimately, and we talked about it a bit in here, we don't know for whose benefit. We don't know what the actual agenda is. And the government can talk about public accountability. That is nonsense when we have seen a trend to pull more and more away from public scrutiny, public accountability, public transparency. So I don't understand what this bill is actually for. Is the ROM planning to sell off its assets and its property? Is Science North planning that? Does the government know something that the rest of the province doesn't and they want to stop it? Or is this just a matter of gathering all of these pieces so that they can ultimately make the decision, so that they can, as a government, find the right buyer? Maybe someone they play golf with. I don't know. But any major deals in the province of Ontario, we don't get to know. So the government members can shake their heads. Maybe they're going to say that I'm being, imputing motive. But I'm asking real questions, and how dare I? As a citizen of Ontario, how dare I ask questions about what really is the goal here with this bill? What really is the point of this? Because it sure as heck is not to remedy any of the challenges brought forward by the Auditor General. And that report that I have somewhere here flagged, issue by issue, those issues are not before us in this bill. Those issues are not being fixed, because those issues had to do with Infrastructure Ontario and them being lackluster is a nice way of putting it, property manager and landlord. And yet here the government is making their role permanent, pulling more in, gathering more, potentially self-serving control. We don't get to know, and we'll never get to know, because I'm sure it'll be commercially sensitive. It'll be pulled behind that curtain. So, Chair, of course, we have challenges with this bill. I've raised them in debate. I look forward to the 1 hour lead where I get to, discuss it again in the legislature. I'm sure the government members are excited about that too. But I'll leave it there for today. this bill is problematic. The government knows it, but Ontario doesn't even understand how problematic, and we may never know what the government's actual agenda is, but we get to see it as it unfolds in front of us. And we have many questions, and again, we don't get any answers. Thank you.